Good morning. Happy Thursday. I'm going to read aloud to you your next passage. Again, remember if you hear my dogs barking in the background, just ignore them. I will pause it and then come back. All right, here we go. Mountain climber, Fanny Bullock Workman. Fanny Bullock Workman was born in Massachusetts in 1859. Her family was wealthy and she attended the finest schools. In 1882, she married William Workman, and together they had two children. Workman's husband first introduced her to mountain climbing on the hills of New Hampshire. Both Workman and her husband enjoyed adventure. They took bicycle trips over thousands of miles through Europe, North Africa, and India. The Workmans rode on tandem bikes, with Fanny in the front seat. She carried a revolver and a whip with her to scare off thieves. As they traveled, they wrote books describing their adventures, including the lands they saw and the people they encountered. She took pictures with her Kodak camera and included them as illustrations in the book. They also drew maps in different locations. In 1897, Workman and her husband started a 2-year bicycle journey around India and the neighboring countries. To avoid the extreme summer heat, they got rid of their bicycles in northern India. They decided to venture north into the mountains to do some climbing. Their trip was not an easy one, however. They carried only the most essential supplies and slept wherever they could, even in railroad waiting rooms. They were forced to stop as often as 40 times a day to fix bicycle tire punctures. They dealt with bothersome mosquitoes and were sometimes hungry and thirsty. After a disastrous first climb, they descended from the mountain and looked for Swiss guides to help them. The Swiss guides carefully organized their first Himalayan mountain climbing expedition. On this trip, Fanny hiked over Himalayan passes as high as 18,000 feet, wearing a wool skirt and hobnailed, spiky nails on the bottom, boots. This trek earned Fanny a record. It was the highest elevation climbed by a woman at the time. In 1906, at the age of 47, Fanny climbed to the top of Pinnacle Peak, which she estimated to be 23,263 feet. This earned her another elevation record, which wasn't surpassed until 1934. It's even more amazing considering that at the time there was no freeze-dried food, no sunscreen, no radios, nor any kind of special equipment. Fanny did have an advantage over many climbers, though. While most climbers get altitude sickness over 18,000 feet, Fanny's slow and steady pace, with overnight breaks along the way, allowed her to get used to higher elevations gradually, avoiding altitude sickness. The Workmans returned to climb the Himalayas 8 times. The photo above was taken on their last expedition in 1912. Fanny held a newspaper with headlines which read, "Votes for Women." She died in 1925, leaving $125,000 each to 4 colleges. So there she is, holding the magazine. You can look at her pictures over on the side and zoom in if you'd like. So that's her and her husband. That's her. There's a bicycle that they are riding, and then I'm sure that's them as they were doing some kind of climbing. But anyway, that's the passage for today, and then I'm going to film another video and go over the questions. So let me know if you have any questions over the passage.